what is this I'm hearing about Crackdown 3 getting shitted on by all these reviewers? See, it's a lot of shit is coming out. A lot of the bullshit is coming out. You know, people say that everyone was hard on Microsoft because they, you know, because they bought these studios and they believed that when they bought these studios that quality was going to change. Now, they had this game, as we all know. This is the same shit. They had this game for the whole time. You know what I mean? And you know, we know I was delayed. It was you know, the destructible environments using the cloud, and they weren't able to get that shit working and stuff like that. And you know, they had to put something out. But they had like 4 years to put something out that is better than what this is. I just honestly think that Microsoft is incapable as a company to even do it. They can't do it. Like, I'm looking at how they released this game, and this game has been released in 2 pieces. One single player that was produced by one company, and then the other was the multiplayer that was produced by another company. Why? What is happening with this game? You know what I mean? It's been in development for a long time, and it's like, what? Why is it in this state? You know, so anyway, the reviews are coming out, and they're talking about how bland the game is with repetitive missions. There's no damage either in single player. Like, all that shit that we seen is not there. So they're leaving that for the multiplayer, supposedly. You know, they had like a stress test, and even the developers, not the developers, but the reviewers that were kind of fucking around with this multiplayer didn't like the shit. So they're like, what the fuck is this? Well, this is bullshit. Everything, in our quotes, they say it looks like styrofoam. You know, it has no impact on gameplay whatsoever, the destructible environments. So it's a complete waste. It's definitely not using cloud for destruction. It's not. And then they talk about the streets are empty in single player. And then on top of it, we got a dynamic 4K for the most simplest looking game ever with no destructible environments on the world's most powerful console. Like, really? Really? This is the reason why people come at Microsoft the way that they do. And then you have a lot of the Xbots, that you know, the community that loves Microsoft. You have a lot of these these fans that are damaging control. They're damage controlling. You know, and for what? The Kid Smooth had a meltdown. He had a meltdown, and he literally shitted on other Microsoft games like State of Decay. You know what I mean? And what is it? Sea of Thieves. Just to exalt this game. It's way better than that, but you've been saying for a while that these games were not as bad as what people were saying. And you have the audacity to sit there and say that the games that you said that were great are shit in compared to another shitty game. No fucking logic at all. I've said this many times that the Xbots has no logic, and they're the worst type of fanboys. They're the worst type of fanboys because they have no logic. Oh my gosh, yo, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So when Microsoft sits there and they state that they bought these studios to make these games and stuff like that, this Crackdown debacle is the reason why people don't have faith in Microsoft. Period. You didn't even if you couldn't get the damage in, you didn't have to leave the game in a state that it is in. You had 4 years to make something fun, to change it up. And instead, what we ended up getting is, we're not excluding the damage. It is literally downgraded. It's downgraded from where it is, from where it was. From 4 years ago. It looks worse, and we're not even talking about the damage. You know what I mean? There's no damage. No damage. And you know, and even if you had damage in multiplayer, it's still, there's no impact, and it doesn't look anywhere close to being as good as it did before. You know what I mean? When they showed the video. Now, I'm going to change speeds. And I'm going to actually take up for Crackdown. People are probably giving this game a very hard time because it was delayed for so long. That's most likely what's really going on. But you got to ask yourself this question. Would it have been shitted on as badly to have a Metacritic score of 61, which I never believed in anyway? You know what I mean? By the way, Kid Smooth really thought that people were paid to give it a bad review. Anyway, but I think that because it was delayed for so long, you know, people are just like, no. You know what I mean? They're like, this is what we waited for the whole time. This is what we waited for the whole time. And, you know, I can't stress enough. This is the reason why people have no faith. Microsoft don't know what they're doing when it comes to making games. They rely on third party too much. Even there was a debacle with Forza. Forza had, you know, all these microtransactions and stuff like that. That's literally the best game that they have. Because Gears of War, even the original fans don't even like Gears of War like that. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Halo. Halo has died. It's a complete shell of its former self. And the fans don't want it. They literally just shitted on it. Which, you know, and you know, it's funny too because they're getting a pass too. You know, Microsoft is getting another pass. You know, they're literally saying that the reason why like Xbox are literally saying, I'm okay with this because it's free with Game Pass, which is not fucking free. This is the logic that I was saying before. They're getting away with putting it on Game Pass, you know, day one. And, you know, people are like, you know what? It wasn't that, it's not a big problem. You know what I mean? It was free anyway, and I didn't really invest. I didn't spend $60 on it. Okay. But this is Microsoft Studio. This is their studio. You know what I mean? And this is the best that you got. I could see if this was third party. This is the best that you got? You don't find anything wrong with the state of, you know, Crackdown? You don't find anything wrong with it? You like this? You like it because of what? Because because there's finally an exclusive? You like it because it is an exclusive game, basically. Oh man, ay, man. You know, this made me think about Games Pass and what they're trying to do with it in the first place. Trying to make their own like little library full of cheap, shitty little games that, you know, there's no investment, and it gives you know a false sense of of value. To say that you have all these little cheap games and you're not really paying that much for it. You're just paying $10 a month, which I don't think that model will last. I think Sony did something like that years ago, and it didn't really work out, and they had to cancel that or whatever the case is. It's not exactly the same, but something kind of in the same realm or ballpark. It's just one of those things that you can't sustain. You can't make a Netflix out of games. You can't. Not right now. You know, and I wonder, are they going to release this? Are they going to release this on different like consoles? Because, you know, Crackdown, there's no exclusives anymore. Crackdown's on PC, so you don't need an Xbox. We already know that. But it makes you wonder though. Are they really going to? Are they going to do it that way? You know what I mean? Are they going to do it that way? You already, you know, a lot of people, you know, the Roundtable podcast for the most part, and myself believe that, you know, Microsoft is probably, and shout out to the Roundtable podcast, Microsoft is probably going to go third party, you know, in the near future. People used to say that, oh, well, you know, they had games that, you know, you had, I forgot what the fuck that game is called again. We Happy Few. The only reason why it was released is because they were already going to make it in the first place. Well, now you have Hellblade. Hellblade is being released as a Microsoft game. It is being released for the Switch. That is a multi-platform move, if you don't know. That is multi-plat. So it almost looks like they're trying to do like the ease into the third, you know, multi-platform. It looks like they're trying to ease into that. Because they know in the console business, they lost. They don't have what it takes. But what they do have is a service where you can play like these mediocre games where for people, and I think that honestly, you know, Games Pass is meant for people that don't want to invest too much time in games. And, you know, Microsoft has what it has the order. It's what the doctor ordered. They don't want to play these full-fledged games. It's something cheap, dumb, you know, popcorn type games where you don't need to invest too much in it. And maybe in the future they'll understand how games work and do better. Honestly, it's not going good for them. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments what you liked or disliked about the video, and if you liked it, a sub would be appreciated.